I've got my fan on in the it's on low so that you can't hear it, so you can hear the dialogue. But Elton John. Let's bring it back to our time. Like that's something that we would that I can tell you that I love more than my children ever, 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 hands down. There is nothing. Maybe caviar on a pearl spoon, but that's it, and some foie gras, some from France with butter, even though the French get really pissed off at me when I put in my foie gras. But that's a whole nother situation. Anyway, listen, there's a show and it's called Smother. And it really, really got me. It got my attention because that's something that I always felt that I did until I watched the show. Then I realized I don't smother at all. Or or maybe I do still smother, but my kids need to watch the show. That's what's really going on. My kids need to watch the show and see that I'm not smothering my children. I'm not. As a matter of fact, my youngest daughter, who's 21, who moved out, I turned her bedroom. I used to be a ballerina and a gymnast. And so just a couple of weeks ago, for the last month, I've been turning her room into a little fun thing for me. And I put one little extra apparatus in there. And she stood there with her friends for the first time and looked at it. And she goes, "You move out of your mother's house and she turns it into a strip club." Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I put a pole in my ballet room. But what the heck? Why not? Why couldn't I do something like that? Look at this hair. I just had it cut up to here and it's already grown down to here. It's my Jew fro. I'm Jewish, so I can say that. You can't. Anyway, so back to the smothering thing, this mother thing. There's one set of mother-daughter people that I think they're kind of cute and they're sweet and everything, but she's getting an apartment with her daughter and her boyfriend and what? Like, my daughter would never let me live with her and her boyfriend. Gabe, I love you if you're watching this. I love you so much. They would never let me live with them. They barely let me stay with them. And they live in New York, so maybe they let me stay with them because the hotels are so expensive. At least that's what I'm telling them. But I do like my own room anyway, so I wouldn't be smothering them, and I don't like to infringe on people. Truth is, I love my own space. I love my own time. I love my own to be alone. I love to get into bed, and I gotta have the remote. I gotta have the remote, the clicker. If you're in a relationship with me, just know the clicker is in my hands, and the day that you put the clicker, or you even think that you're gonna have control over the clicker, our relationship is over. It is OVERFERIE, over. I can't spell. I pay my manager an extra 1% so he can spell for me, and he's a millennial. So he knows how to spell everything. I know everything. Well, I don't know everything, but I know more than he does because he's 20 and he thinks he knows everything. Anyway, we love him though. Because without him, I couldn't be doing this, couldn't be relating to you guys, and keeping it to 10 minutes, because he told me to. He said, keep it to 10 minutes, or people are just going to get bored and tune you out. So let me just make these points quick. One of the mothers is going to be a grandmother, and she's trying to talk her daughter into to not get an epidural. Are you kidding me? What is the point of having a child and not getting an epidural? What's the point? You want bragging rights? You want to run around for the next 30 years and go, I didn't have an epidural. I'm so cool. Like, who cares? I had an epidural. Does that come up at dinner parties? Do people sit there and go, by the way, people, can we time out. Tawny had an epidural for both of her kids. Right? Conversation dead at that point. Dead conversation. Nobody cares. No one has ever, I've never been to a dinner party where anyone has stopped and said, but time out. Susie has something to say. Oh, really, Greg does, because Greg really wants to show off about Susie. Greg, the floor is yours. Greg, I just want to say that Susie is such a trooper. She is a soldier. She could be a Navy SEAL. She didn't have an epidural when she gave birth to our child 28 years ago. I don't care, Susie. You're not bringing it for me. That's not important. I don't care. Get an epidural. You're not a soldier in the army. Why do you care? Why do you want to feel? What do you want to feel? You're going to feel the pain after the baby comes out anyway because you're not going to get any sleep. You want to feel the pain, and you're going to be in pain anyway for the next 6 weeks. I got to tell you, you're going to have cis bath. You're going to be bleeding. It's not attractive. You can't have sex. You're hurting. You're open to the size of the crater of the moon. Anyway, it's not fun. So why do you want to add any more pain and not get an epidural? It doesn't make any sense to me. So if my daughter wanted an epidural and I was totally against epidurals, I guess I would be smothering her. Okay, back to the show about smother. Hell no to the epidural. Did I make it clear? Hell no. You get an epidural. That's what I mean. Like, hell no, no, yes, epidural. Did I make any sense? I hope I made sense. Okay, and I wanted, I wanted to be in the room. I want to be in the room when my daughter gives birth. But then I see on the show that one of the mothers is like taking her daughter to Lamaze class, strike one, is buying everything for the baby and she knew first before the father did that the daughter was pregnant, strike two, and now she wants to be in the room when the kid's being delivered. That's strike three to me, and that was my only condition. My only condition was I wanted to be in the room when she gave birth. I didn't want to be in the room when she was doing what she was doing to give birth, which these mothers probably want to know everything about that too. And my daughter, believe me, my daughter and I, we talk about everything. We talk about everything, but I don't smother her. I let her live her life. I let her do her. Now, when she gets to the point that she needs my advice and she wants to talk to me and she wants to know what's going on and stuff that for her age, she's so bright, she's so smart, she knows, you know what, I haven't been through this, let me ask my mom. My mom's done everything. My mom has failed, my mom succeeded, my mom's failed again. I'm sure she's got an opinion on this. So she comes to me and she asks me for advice. I think that's really cool. But to smother your daughter, like one of the girls, the guy was proposing to the daughter and the mother looked at the camera and goes, did he think that was going to impress me? Oh my God, if my Gabe, I call him Gabeala, if Gabe ever, which, please, God, if you're listening, and I'm Jewish, if Gabe ever asked Winter to marry him, and I had an opinion of how bad he did, I would hope someone would take me out behind the barn and shoot me. Because that is just... Oh, I'm sorry. You did that wrong. Sheila, can we hold the cocktails? I got something to say about Kathy. Kathy had an epidural on her first child. We all body shamed her. She's now 9 months pregnant. She hasn't had an aspirin, and she's not going for the epidural. The party can now resume. Everybody happy? No, because nobody cares. Nobody cares if you've had an epidural. What is the big deal? In 30 years, are you going to, at your eulogy, are people going to be going, Cindy was such an amazing woman. She worked for the church. She volunteered at the hospital. She let people go in front of her at the grocery line. If she had 80 things and one person had 2 things behind her, and there were 12 people like that, she'd let them all go in front of her. And she didn't have an epidural. Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. So this show, Smother, just don't, please, just do us all a favor. Listen, one thing that I've always said, because I didn't know that these kids could grow up and like leave. Like there must have been fine print when I got pregnant, and I signed it, and it said when these kids turn 18 that they're allowed to move out of the house. And I, for some reason, didn't read the fine print and got really, really sad and cried and devastated when they decided to go off to college. How dare they? And make a life for themselves. How dare they? But yeah, I didn't read the fine print, and I didn't know that they're allowed to leave. I thought once you had your kids that they had to stay around forever. So when I heard the show Smother, I thought, well, I can relate to this. No, I can't. I can't. Who can relate? Who can relate to this? So if you're watching the show, I hope you're watching it just for fun, so you can sit around and tell Sally that you're real proud of her for not having an epidural. And then behind her back, pull a Housewives and go, did you hear about Shelly not having an epidural? What a piece of work she is. Unbelievable. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. If you've got any questions, you have anything you want to ask me about, because I haven't been doing this long enough yet for you guys to ask me questions, except for I've been reading your responses and you seem to like me. Sally Fields, a reference for us older people. She was even older than me, older than my generation, but it was like, you really, really, you like me, you really like me. I don't know if that's true, if you really, really, really like me, but you seem to be responding, and I am so grateful, because I'm having a ball, and I've got a lot to say. I've got a mouth that won't stop and a brain that won't quit. And so for me to be able to use it, and use it for good or for bad or the truth or to tell a lie, which God strike me dead if I ever do tell a lie, because the camera reads everything. You can tell. If I told you I was wearing a bra right now, I'd be struck dead, because I'm not wearing a bra right now. So there's the truth. I'm not lying about that. I'm not going to ever lie on here, because what's the point? You're going to find out anyway. And besides, I'm past that. I don't give a shit what you think. I mean, listen, do I care what you think, and does it matter to me that I read those comments? Oh my God, you guys made me feel incredible yesterday. You really did. You made me feel so good. It was such positive feedback from everybody. One person said something really stupid, which I'll get into later. There was this stupid thing about I supposedly hit Chuck, broke his toe or something like that, which never happened, because on Sunday when we do the house tour, and I'm going to do a full video and you'll get to see everything, he's paying for all of this, and our youngest is 21. So if I did anything to Chuck, don't you think I'd be the last person on his payroll? Yeah, but that's a whole nother story. We'll get into it later. I love you. I love you all. I love you, Chuck. I love you, Winter and Rainy, my two favorite people in the whole wide world that I did not time out in the party. Guess what? I didn't have I had epidurals. Oh, and my epidural, okay, you guys, listen, the very first time I had an epidural, you're laying on your side and you've got your husband, you know, you're on the gurney and you're laying on your side because they got to get to your spine. So your husband is right there so he can, you know, be a supporting, you know, guy who doesn't understand the pain of it all, and a nurse right next to him. And all of a sudden, I'm laying there just calm, and they're going, just be calm and we won't feel anything. All of a sudden I go, whoa, like this. They fucked up my epidural. They almost paralyzed me. They put it in the wrong spot and my body seized and almost fell off the freaking table. So maybe I should think twice about epidurals. No, you still need to have an epidural because childbirth hurts. It hurts. It's painful. And my whole point about it is the smothering. It's the mother telling the daughter what she needs to do. Don't do that, moms. Let your daughters be who they are. Let them come to you and ask you questions that you've made mistakes on or that you haven't made mistakes on. Do that. Let your daughters come to you. Let your daughters be human beings, and let them have the questions that they need answers to. Don't sit there and try to run their lives. It just ain't cool. It ain't cool. It ain't cool to smother. Mother, your motherfucker. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this was all about smothering. Who in your life do you smother?